Steph on Steph Rock on Spotify. We are back with little cowboy Tim Montana. Thanks for coming by.
You bet. Good to see you.
Dude, good to see you again. I got to see you at Aftershock. That was awesome. So, Montana, you're from Montana. I've spent a lot of time in Montana. My grandmother had a ranch there. And
Oh,
I want to
really?
know, yeah, in Hamilton. So the west part. How did you meet other fellow Montana man, David Letterman?
That was rodeo in Shoto, Montana in 2008. It was bizarre. I made a poster said Tim Montana World Tour, and it said Livingston, Butte, and Shoto. Somebody's like, dude, that's not the world. It's like my first real tour. Or not
Yeah.
real tour. It was my first 3 shows in a row, so I called it a world tour. We were in a broke down ass van, pulled up in Shoto. Before I got there, I'd heard that Dave lived there. And Dave paid Willie Nelson the year before to come up. And I was like, guys, what if Dave shows up and I end up on the late show with David Letterman? And everyone's like, yeah, right. Sure as shit. He walks up to the merch table and he starts talking to me and my mom. And my daughter was like 6 months old at the time. He was very intrigued that I was a kid that grew up without electricity. He had the most questions about that. He's like, were you guys like going green? I'm like, no, Dave, it's this thing called poverty. And so he pulled out a wad of cash, hundreds of dollars, said, I want all the t-shirts this will buy me. And I said, I closed with my meeting with him in Shoto. I said, maybe I'll see you on the late show someday. And he goes, man, I really hope so. I hope you get there. And about 2 months later, I got the phone call in all places, Guitar Center of Nashville. In any
No
Guitar Center,
way.
everybody's mean mugging each other, shredding. And I'm just walking through Guitar Center like, fuck you guys. I'm on the phone with
Yeah.
the booker from the late show. So then I found myself playing the Ed Sullivan Theater. So it was pretty cool. And that was
That is
if
neat.
you go on YouTube and watch it, you'll never see a more scared Tim Montana and a beardless Tim Montana playing the Ed Sullivan Theater. It was pretty wild.
You're a young deer in the headlight. Because yeah, I love Montana, and that's really neat that you have come from nothing and got to where you are now, and that you met fellow. He's been in Montana for years now, David Letterman. He was just him
Yeah.
and Kid Rock, which I know you're buddies with. Kid Rock has come through the Hamilton guitar store that I locally would hang out in, and they said that was like the big guy that would come and just jam on guitars and how nice he was. And I love you had crazy stories too. You're just
Yeah.
like,
And I look back at that experience too. I'm like, it was weird because I thought that was my big break. I was 23. I'm like, this is it. I remember I had an Orchard Bank credit card for people with no credit. So I maxed my card out with stakes before I went to the Ed Sullivan Theater, convinced that
oh
I was
yeah,
getting I was like, I'm going to get a record deal, booking deal, management deal. Shit's going to be different the day after this late show thing happens. Nothing happened. And I had to go back to the
so
drawing
common.
boards and make like 3 or 4 more albums before I even got a record deal. So, but that
Yeah.
experience gave me a taste early on of what that felt like. The butterflies I got in my stomach on that show was like, I wanted to do this forever. It was like I was chasing the dragon ever since of like that
Yeah.
feeling of being on that stage. So I don't
The
know that I would
Letterman
have
show
stuck it
was your
out that.
heroine.
Yeah, I don't know that I would have stuck it out that long if it weren't for Dave Letterman, because I went into the dark ages after that and took many, many years to get back on my feet, and figure it out. So
Well, we're glad you stuck with it. And I remember Eddie Trunk asked me to come on that metal show for one episode. And I was like, that's it. I made it. Like, I have been on that metal show, VH1. It's my radio career is going to just get Howard Stern. And it didn't happen. And I remember being super bummed. Like, oh, wait, you have to just continue to work for years and years and years
yeah,
and
keep
you get
grinding.
these little breaks,
Yeah,
here and there.
exactly.
And they keep happening. So your tour, you've upgraded from old van to really nice bus that stands out. Does it ever get messed with, or do people ever kind of run up to you with it being plastered like Tim Montana, or do you not get bugged too much?
No, we get a ton of people find us, and I actually it's cool right now. There's some days I'm like, okay, this is a lot, but it's old school marketing, and the old
Yeah.
school guys used to do that. Waylon did that. Willie did that. Like you knew they were in town because they had their wrapped, vehicles. And I've got my '99 Charlie Sheen tour bus I bought from Charlie, and then I've got this
No way.
Sprinter. Yeah, so I've got Charlie's old bus, and then I've got my Sprinter. And I'm more of a mechanical gearhead than I am a musical one. All these guys like to talk about their amps and stuff. I like to talk about tires, wheels, engines, Detroit Series 60s because I'm a Montana guy. So I grew up working on rigs. So I
Nice.
love, working on them. I have my CDL. And yeah, the Tim Mobile, as my daughter calls it. You know who hates that vehicle? my teenage daughter. She's like, if that comes within 100 yards of my high school, I will run the opposite direction, Dad.
She's embarrassed by
I was
dad.
so embarrassed.
Yeah. Yeah.
And my
My kids
sons,
think I'm
however,
weird.
yeah, she's the teenager. She's 16, almost 17. But then my two boys are like, Dad, pick us up in the Tim Mobile. Our buddies think it's so cool. So they want me to pick them up in it. My daughter's like, get that away from my high school.
That's so see, my kids think I'm losers and a weirdo and I need to grow up. But then once they found out I could get them to meet Imagine Dragons, that's who they're upset. Then they're like, oh, you're kind of cool. You're okay.
Yeah,
And so it
exactly.
just depends on what you hook them up with, what they think of
Yeah,
you.
that was my daughter. All of a sudden showed up at.
I have to use my young kids to know what's going on and what's cool and what's hip and even kind of how to use TikTok. I'm out to lunch with a lot of that
Yeah,
stuff,
I'm
but
not on the TikTok train. I'm like, I don't get it. I don't really watch it. I like
I'm
my IG
trying.
reels.
Yeah, I am. Instagram's my hub. That's where I'm at. So,
Yeah.
dude, you've also hung out with Billy of ZZ Top. How did you guys meet?
We met over Boston Red Sox, which I'm not a sports guy. I grew up without TV, and we just went to Fenway Park. The last time I was at Fenway Park, I painted home plate, sang the national anthem because me and Billy wrote the theme song that they won the World Series with, called "This Beard Came Here to Party." We wrote that in 2013. They were growing their beards out. I got thrown in the mix. They won the World Series. Me and Gibbons ended up on the cover of USA Today, and then sparked a we're at 11 years of friendship, business partners in hot sauce. We own the Wise River Club, Lodge, and Hotel in Montana together. He's kind of become like my rock and roll dad. And just recently in December, we celebrated his 75th, and he had me come out and play his party. And I got to jam on stage with Slash, Jerry Cantrell, Robbie Krieger from The Doors. It was sick. Joe Bonamassa, C6 Steve. It was awesome.
That's sick. I love Joe too. I lived in Austin for a little bit and he would come by and play there a lot. He just can shred like none other.
100%.
Dude, that's all you've got friends with Kid Rock, ZZ Tops, everybody. Like, is there a favorite person in the industry that you've got to perform with or tour with?
I would say Gibbons is because we're just, very close,
Tight.
if not best friends and business partners. But then cultivating my friendship with Cantrell has been awesome. So I've been, even this week, chatting with him and Billy, working on some stuff. And Jerry, Allison Chains is like one of my Mount Rushmores of all time. And then getting to become friends with Dave Grohl and travel with the Foo Fighters was awesome. I've been on that jet a couple times with Dave when Taylor was still around, and getting to hang out with those guys was really rad. So.
Did Dave Grohl try to impregnate you?
No.
Was there no love child?
I was drinking heavily at the time, possibly.
Yeah, you don't know. You might need to get tested if you're carrying on. What about Jelly Roll? I feel like you and Jelly Roll would make a good team.
Yeah, I've met him, and he really likes my song, Mostly Stoned. We're on the same label. And he's a very sweet guy. I don't know him. He's not a contact in my phone, but every time I see him, he's like, dude, I love that Mostly Stoned song, brother.
Yeah. I just feel like you guys are in similar genres.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and I read that you help out veterans suffering from PTSD. How did you get involved with like that charity work?
Grew up with a lot of vets. I was either going to do music or military, and my mom was so glad when I got into music school. So I'm like, all right, if I'm not doing the military, I'm going to support those that did serve. And so my charity group, the American Thread Sporting Clay Shoot, we've raised $1.5 million in the last 5 events we've done. We're all volunteer. We don't take a dime. All of us have day jobs, so we donate 100% back. That's in Nashville. We've had everybody from Aaron Lewis to Charlie Sheen come out and support. It's a really cool event that we do in Nashville. And then I designed some guitars with Gibson that raised a couple $100,000. That's kind of where it started. One of my friends got back from Afghanistan and ultimately died of drugs because PTSD messed with him so much. So I want to do something to honor my friend Hunter Mitchell, and it's kind of where it started, and it's become a pretty big thing. So we love supporting those that support us.
Thank you for doing that. That's really incredible that you help out, and I love bands that give back to military. I love military, and you've got Tiger Blood probably in the van from Charlie Sheen that you're touring with. It might be good luck.
Yeah,
I like that guy. Can probably party. I never partied with him, but I bet
he's 8 years sober now. We're very proud of him.
Okay, he's
If
not.
he
You know what?
if he started partying again, the world would come off its axis, and we'd all be in trouble.
Yeah, we would not be spinning. So I think most people that partied really hard are sober now. Like everybody that I hung out with that got down, I didn't get on the sober train. I never went too nuts. I'll be like, I did that good balancing act where you go a little hard and then you're like, oh, rope it back in, or have a kid, be sober for 9 months again. And then, that was my sobriety breaks, was having babies.
Yeah, all these tours I'm on, everyone's like, where's the parties backstage? I'm like, those don't exist anymore.
No, you're right.
Very few artists that party that I find. Everybody's pretty serious into their crafts and art, and I had to take a picture. Yeah. I had to slow way down myself. I was getting a little out there a few years ago. So
we all have.
yeah.
And now I've got my kids a lot backstage and like bottle feeding babies, and so it's become a different than back in the day. Okay, can I do a couple fun questions?
Yes, one sec. This is driving me nuts. Hang on.
Yeah.
I gotta ask. Hey, what is the band? Hey, I'm on a podcast. What's the band that sounds like Led Zeppelin? The singer just Greta Van Fleet.
I haven't heard of them. Is that bad?
You haven't heard of Greta Van Fleet?
Yeah.
They're really good.
Okay, I'm gonna write it down.
Do you know Mrs. Carey? Say hi to Mrs. Carey.
Hi. How are you?
We're just dropping tea in the harbor, Boston.
I love it. Yeah. With the boys.
All right, let me go over here with my questions.
I would not have guessed that band, and I'm gonna have to look them up because I had no clue.
And they're cool because they play their instruments. They're not like a bunch of laptop playing guys. Like these dudes send it with guitars and drums and old school.
Okay, and they're young boys.
Yes.
Okay, that's what I'm attracted to.
They can't be older than 30.
Oh God, I don't like them over 25. It's not my thing. Like 20 to 25, and then I'm like, oh, they're aging. That's gross. Okay, let's do fun question time. Okay, in your band, who is most likely to go to jail?
Me or my drummer.
Okay.
And we're the only two that have been to jail, I believe.
Yeah, I have two. It's not fun, but it's a good rite of passage. You're like,
it's a learning thing. You're a learning curve. You gotta go to jail once.
There were some hot chicks, but I don't know. That was I met a girl. Who was your teenage crush growing up?
Who's the girl from The Mummy? God, Rachel something? I had a big crush on her.
It's been a long. I remember Brendan Fraser was in The Mummy.
Yeah, the girl in The Mummy. I had a big crush on her, yeah.
Okay.
Salma Hayek, too.
She's hot. What was the one where
so hot.
She had the snake? She is still hot with Quentin Tarantino from Dusk Till Dawn.
Oh, yeah.
Salma Hayek in that movie. What is a dream instrument that you don't know how to play that you'd still like to learn how to play?
Piano.
Okay. That's usually a bass. What is a pet peeve of yours?
I hate people that eat loud and chew with their mouth open. Drives me nuts. If I hear lip smacking, I want to smack them.
Yeah. I heard I do that. Like, I'm not even aware. Yeah, that I'm like a loud, messy eater. I don't know.
I have some Italian friends, and I'm pretty sure that's how they communicate without communicating that the meal is good. They're just like,
yeah, I don't even know. Or I'm such a busy mom working, and so like when I get to eat, I just like gorge and look like I'm wild in the forest, and I'm eating out of control. So I don't know. I need to like sit down and not be in a rush all the time. If you weren't playing music, what would your career be?
Probably military or veterinary. I raised bloodhounds as a kid, so I had a lot of we raised AKC, like tracking hounds and search and rescue hounds. So I ended up getting in the vet business and then becoming a veterinarian technician. And so I paid my bills for a lot of years in the vet business. So know a lot about animals.
Yeah. Did you ever have to put your finger in an animal's butt?
A lot. I did anal glands a lot. You got to put a paper towel in there because they will squirt out high pressure sometimes, and there's nothing worse than anal glands in your face. I've had it happen.
Did you got anal gland in your face? God, that's exciting. That's a good. I'm glad you're a rock star now.
Yeah,
and you're not.
I've fingered many a butt at the vet clinic.
That's the clip. That's the clip. Okay. What was your favorite part about Aftershock 2024?
I don't know. The interviews are pretty fun. We kind of ripped in
Yeah.
and out of there, so I never have time to like stop and smell the roses, and it's just like on to the next one.
You
I
didn't get
wish
to
we.
see kind of any of the bands?
I got to see Cypress Hill. I got to hear Filter from afar. I did meet Richard Patrick. That was cool because I'm really, really close friends with his brother, Robert Patrick, who's the Terminator. A lot of people don't know that
I
Richard and
didn't know
Rob.
that.
Yeah, Richard, the lead singer of Filter's older brother, is the T-1000 in Terminator 2, the cop.
What?
Yeah.
That's cool.
And he's
That's
in a
pretty.
ton of films. So him and I have become really good buddies. So I walked up to Richard. I'm like, hey, Tim Montana. Hey, I'm good buddies with your brother. And he's like, what?
That's so random, but like also
Yeah.
not after living in LA, like everybody's connected, interconnected
Yeah.
through a bunch of shit. Okay. And then last fun question. If you could pick between David Bowie or Jimi Hendrix, which one would you choose?
Jimi Hendrix.
Okay. More of a Hendrix fan. I like it. Thank you, Tim, so much for stopping by. I know you're busy. You're on tour. You want to update us of what's going on right now?
Yeah, we're in the middle of the Miles Kennedy tour. So we're here in Boston. And yeah, this is going to go on until February 21st. Tour ends in Spokane, Washington. Miles is a super rad dude. I love him to death. And we're having a great time. And then, yeah, just keep checking. We're going to be working on new music this year. Come see me at the world famous Wise River Club in Wise River, Montana, where I reside, and rock and roll.
Way cool. Thank you so much. And we hope to see you back at Aftershock and in Sacramento again sometime and have fun on the road.
We're playing Sacramento coming up. You better come out to the show.
Hell yeah. Okay. All right.
Don't
I'm
ask
gonna
me where. I don't know. It's pinned to my Instagram, but it's coming up
I
towards the end of the tour. We have a show
okay.
inside.
All right. I'm going for
And
sure.
my wife's from Reading, so she might come down to that one too. So
Oh, nice. I like your wife because Reading is badass.
she
Like
went
it's
she went to Chico State. She was a party girl.
not I went to UOP and we played each other in sports. We were rival colleges. So but
Wow.
yeah, Chico and Reading girls know how to party. They're really hot country girls. So
Oh
I'm
yeah.
digging the vibes.
Oh yeah.
Okay, we'll come out. Well, thank you so much, Tim.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. Bye.